Hello, my name is Scott Haskin, and I thought it'd be kind of neat to do some story behind the songs videos with the releases that I'm doing currently. We've got the technology, and some people might find it a little bit interesting, so here we go. This particular song is called Dear Grandpa, and it was originally written in July of 2003. And it was a bonus track on no, it actually wasn't a bonus track. It was just a regular track, I think, on my Twist of Fate album, which I hope to one day redo and make available. Again, it's on my list of all the back catalog that I've pulled off the market. Hopefully, the goal is to redo one a year. And right now, I've just finished the mastering for the album Dreamscape, which is the first in the re-release series, restructuring the old songs, bringing them to current times, and a mix between where I was when I wrote it and what my current skill level is at. So kind of keeping that originality with the benefit of time as both an engineer and as a composer and performer. But this song was actually, the original idea was I wanted to write something like Eminem's song Stan. I really liked the idea of the way that he integrated Thank You by Dido, and how he sort of blended that with his own beat and the arrangement for what he needed. I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to do something to be a tribute to my grandparents in song. And I thought, there's got to be something I can do with this. And the original idea was I wanted to get the rights to Return to Innocence by Enigma. And I was going to use the sort of Indian chanting as the chorus, and then put my own music to the intro and the verses and the outro. And I did not know at the time how I could do that. I didn't have the funds, even if I had the resources, but you can't just get the rights to the recording or to the performance. You have to actually get the master tracks, have access to that to be able to remove what you need. Although now that's probably less required as far as getting a hold of the original tracks with like extract stems by Audionamics. You probably can get away with just using the original recording and getting the rights to it. That would be something you'd have to play with. But back in 2003, it was a lot less likely. So I knew the original idea wasn't going to work. As much as I wanted to do it, as strong as the vision was that I had for it, I knew that that wasn't going to be possible. So I just decided to write my own song. And it's a little bit hip-hop, a little bit classical. It's definitely got a beat to it. And I originally recorded it as a rap, and I did that, I think, probably two or three different ways. But when it came time to release it for the Twist of Fate album, I thought, this just doesn't really work the way I wanted it to. So instead of doing that without even thinking about the original idea for Eminem's Stan, I decided to do it as if I were writing letters to my grandfather. Now, this song is a conglomeration of both of my grandfathers, but it was after the passing of my grandfather on my dad's side that I wrote the song. So it was a little bit more geared towards him, but with both of my grandfathers in mind. My other grandfather had passed several years earlier. We had an amazing relationship growing up. Anytime I went to their house, it was always exciting. It was, let's put a model together, let's build a shelf, let's play drums, let's do something. We were always doing something creative. And I really liked that. In older years, unfortunately, he and I we didn't really have a falling out as much as we just kind of stopped interacting. There was a day where right after I had graduated high school, the employer that I was working at, just some restaurant, had screwed up my schedule. They refused to fix it, and I just laughed. I said, well, I don't, there's plenty of jobs I can find. I don't need this one. And so my grandfather was visiting us at the time, and he asked me why I was home, and I told him, and he didn't like that, and that was pretty much the end of it. And it's a real shame, because I really wish that I would have had the ability to speak to him as an adult, I was, 18 at the time, 17, just about to turn 18 at the time. And I really wish that we would have had that opportunity, but we didn't. And he had passed a couple years later. My other grandfather was somebody who I didn't spend that much time with. He was a workaholic. His life was pretty much his job. And so, I would spend the day with my grandma. We would do things. We would clean the attic. We would go to garage sales. We would go play in the park, all kinds of stuff. And when Grandpa came home, it was dinner, cards, television, every time. And I found that as I got older, there wasn't really much to speak to him about because I wasn't interested in cars. He had worked for Ford for 170 some years. And that was pretty much everything for him. And then it became, sport. It was the job and sports, which I really wasn't much interested in outside of hockey. And so as he got older and he had a very severe heart attack, and I went back to help my grandma for a few days, the conversations, there was just nothing to talk about. And every time I would call to talk to my grandmother and speak to him, he would, constantly nag my grandmother, get me on, let me talk to Scotty, let me talk to Scotty. And then we would get on the phone and he just wouldn't say anything. And I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to get to know him, but there just wasn't that much to latch onto. And so there would just be little things like every single time he talked, he would tell me about this albino squirrel that would come up to the doorway. And that's why I used the squirrel as the graphic for the single. But there just really wasn't much there. And I always felt it was a shame. But he said something that was very, very powerful to me that is a little bit haunting. And I think it's because of choice. But he said, don't ever let anyone tell you that the golden years are the best years of your life. And I thought, God, that's sad. But I think it's because he didn't have any interest. I mean, he didn't set himself up for anything when he was forced to retire, because he would have worked until he was 95 if he could have. But he didn't have anything outside of that. So it wasn't like, well, once I retire, I want to go on vacation. I want to do this. I want to do that. They bought a motorhome. They came to visit us in Colorado. They were in Michigan. Both of my grandparents, grandfathers lived in Michigan, grandmothers too, obviously. But there really wasn't much more to him than that. And so I think that's why he was unhappy. So let there be a lesson in that find things that make you happy, find things that you enjoy, set yourself up for a good future that you can enjoy. It's not all about working and, working until there's nothing left. Let's take what we can out of life and enjoy it, and don't wait to do the things that you want to do. Do them. Just do them. But this song, it was a little bit hard to write. And when I did the final reading of it, I remember I stood when I did it. I didn't sit and read the dialogue. I actually stood at the mic. And it was a little bit hard to get through, thinking about that phrase and how it just has haunted me over and over through the years. And I don't foresee that as being a problem for myself, but just in general for people. I think that's a very real possibility. So I hope you like the song. I hope you enjoy it. Maybe it will bring up some memories of people in your life, not necessarily your grandfathers, maybe your grandmothers, maybe family, maybe friends, people that have come and gone. But hopefully you'll get something out of this song that will just kind of make you think and maybe inspire you a little bit. Thank you.